Hey, what's up? All right, so Denny Hamlin has his own podcast with Dirty Mo. They have new noses for the Fords. Oh, let me do the chat check first. Make sure that's working. Looks like it's working pretty good. All right, so yeah, they got new noses for the Ford, for the Toyota, and for the Chevrolet. What else happened today? I don't know. Other stuff happened. Can't think of it off the top of my head. So we'll see what you guys want to talk about down there in the chat. But let's see. I think it was Bozzy. I can't say his last name, but he was the one that released all the different looks and how the nose. Oh, they were doing a tire test also today as well in Coda for Goodyear. So we don't have any results from that I know of off the top of my head. So, oh yeah, and Kevin Harvick to SRX. That's probably another big one, right? Kevin Harvick to SRX. That one slipped my mind. So lots of stuff to talk about. We'll see what you guys want to talk about. Let's go to the chat and see what's going on. Bumblebee says, good evening to my people. The world famous Bumblebee, the moderator. Got your ally hat on today, by the way, Bumblebee. Let's see here. Chat check. Camaro 50 says, good evening. What's up, Camaro 50? Hope you're doing good today. Mark Barnum says, Harvick to SRX. So, yeah, Kevin Harvick is going to run at least 2 SRX races. That was confirmed today. So that should be interesting. One of them is, I forgot which 2 they were. One of them, I think one of them is that New Hampshire track that Dave Moody always talks about. Starts with an S. I can't call it because I had it in my head before. I need to start writing stuff down before I come on. But anyway, he's going to run both of those, and I think that's going to be really cool. I think they need more people like Kevin Harvick in the SRX series. And actually, I wish the SRX series would expand their cars, just a few more cars to get some more names in there. They wouldn't even have to run full time. But what if you had more people in there, like more all-stars that showed up that weren't necessarily running for the points? If you had more like offshoot cars like that, they've got plenty of the cars because they got several sitting there. If you've ever been to an event, you've seen plenty of them sitting there as backup cars for just in case something happens to one of their other cars. So they've got plenty of cars where they could do something like that. So I would like to see a few more open positions for some of these races as well. And more than one hometown hero probably wouldn't be a bad idea either. I know when they came to South Boston, there were 3 or 4 guys that probably Berlin and Stafford. Thank you, Mark Barnum. But I know there were several candidates, and if you had got both of those candidates to race at that South Boston race, it was a sellout anyway. But I think you would have created more buzz for it. You might have got more people to watch it on TV. Sold more subscriptions to the TV side of it. But now that they're with ESPN, I guess that doesn't really matter. I don't know. But I would like to see more like sort of one-off celebrity drivers, and also more hometown heroes or whatever you want to call them. I forget what they call it. More ringers. So if you had like 2 ringers and two like one-off superstars like Kevin Harvick's going to do with SRX, I think that would be really cool. A really cool deal to see happen as well. JD Mayo says Hamlin will be on the Dirty Mo podcast. Not only will he be on a Dirty Mo podcast, but he's got his own Dirty Mo podcast. It's called Actions Detrimental. Of course, the last part of that would be to stock car racing, but Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin, that's going to be really interesting because he's toward the end of his career. Not only is he a driver, but he also owns a team, and he's not scared to speak his mind, and he likes to stir it up to sort of get his name buzzing on Twitter and social media to sort of keep the 2311 brand in the news, to sort of keep himself in the news, to attract sponsors, because sponsors and stuff look at stuff like that. So he likes to keep stuff spinning. So I think they have the perfect person to do that podcast. And like a lot of people have said in the comments of stuff I've been reading, I haven't actually, done a video just specifically to that yet, but a lot of people have said they don't necessarily like him inside of the race car, but they think outside of the race car, they actually do really like him because he speaks up for himself. He speaks up for the drivers. He's trying to make the sport a better sport. So that's actually where they like him from. So I think there's going to be a lot of controversial stuff is probably going to be said on that. And I think it's actually going to be a really good thing because it's going to keep NASCAR in the news, and it's going to keep 2311 and Hamlin in the news, obviously, which is part of the reason why he's doing it. But I also think he's going to be able to hold NASCAR to the fire with some of the stuff he does on that podcast. And I'm really interested to see what kind of podcast it's going to be. Is it going to be sort of like Denny Hamlin with a guest, a random guest that he interviews, or is it going to be Denny Hamlin talks about a subject? I really want to see the format. Is it going to be sort of like Dale Jr. and Joe Rogan where he has a guest, or is it going to be like a podcast where he starts off talking about stuff by himself, then he brings a guest in? Like, I do want to see the format of it too. Is it going to be a format we're used to, or do they have something up their sleeve? Is it going to be a different format? So really cool deal to get excited about that. Bumblebee says, "Let me get that hat." No problem. I'll send you the address. I've got several Ally hats. I can throw another one on here. Let's see here. Mark Barnum, appreciate it. Stafford and Berlin. That's where Kevin Harvick is going to be racing in the SRX series. Mark Barnum also says, I think it's a dollar issue for more cars. Yeah, so they would have to come up with, and it's only like, what, 4 to 6 races? I can't remember. I think it's either 4 or 6. I think it's 6. I think it's 6 races. So they would have to come up with a sponsor for 6 races as well. Mark Wachowski saying, what's up? What's up, Mark? Rodney Collier, what's up, Rodney? Good to see you on here as always. Says, what's up, BB? Rod from Fayetteville. So there you go. Vietnam is in the house. What's up, Fayetteville? What's up, Rodney? Kevin S. Harvick fits the SRX series. He's definitely got a chance for a win. Oh, man. I think he is going to absolutely wax him. I think one of those races, I think he's going to go in there and absolutely wax him. Because here's the deal. A lot of those guys in that series that drive stock cars are retired, and they've been retired for a while. They're not sort of in the mix of driving a car every day. Now, the IndyCar drivers, some of the IndyCar drivers they brought over there still drive Indy cars for a full season, but they're not used to the stock cars. But I think you bring in a stock car guy in there that is – he's still like Kevin Harvick's never had a peak. That's the cool thing about Kevin Harvick. He's always been good. You know, some people you can look at their peak. Well, Kevin Harvick just got here and then just has stayed here. He hasn't really fallen off yet. Even those couple years or whatever where he didn't win a race, he still was getting really good finishes. So Kevin Harvick's level has been up here. So putting him against some retired guys and some IndyCar guys in basically a stock car in the SRX series, I think Kevin Harvick's going to wax him at least one of those races. I think he's going to absolutely he's just going to go through them. But that's just my opinion. They're going to get BTFO'd in my opinion at least one of those races. Mark Barnum says Thursday night racing this year. Will he? Yep, I think. Yeah, so the Thursday night thing is also cool. I actually like that because I will be able to specifically keep up with the SRX series, whereas all these other series are running on the weekend. So like if you want to watch a NASCAR race, sometimes it conflicts with you trying to watch an F1 race or an F1 or a IndyCar race or whatever else you want to watch. So I do like that they're doing their deal on Thursday nights. I think that's going to be really cool. Sky Blazer RC, I can't wait for that. Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty cool. If either one you're talking about, Kevin Harvick or the Denny Hamlin deal. Mark Barnum says one podcast I will not watch. So yeah, there's definitely people that just universally don't like Denny Hamlin, but there also are some people who don't like Denny Hamlin as a race car driver, but they actually like what he has to say outside of the car. So it's going to be interesting. I think he's going to win over some people with the podcast, but some people he's not. Some people are just absolutely not going to watch it. So that's part of the deal. Bumblebee says Denny's whole career could be considered detrimental to stock car racing. She says that's pretty good one. I like that's pretty funny. There's definitely a lot of people that feel that way. Let's see, and Mark Barnum agrees as well. So and here we go. Cassandra Keller says Denny whining ? So yeah, there you go. He's got a platform for the people that thinks he whines. Now he's got a platform to do that. I think it's going to be a really cool podcast. By the way, I'm not as anti-Denny, I guess, as some people. I'm not anti-Denny at all. So I don't know, but I understand some people because I got ears, right? I can hear him when he gets announced at racetracks. He does get quite a few boos. So I know there's some anti-Dennyites out there, anti-Dennites. Anti-Dentites, you remember that from Seinfeld? They're anti-Dennyites now. Anti-Dennyites. Anti-Dennites. There you go. Bumblebee says, I like Denny's takes on things, though. So here you go. I'll definitely give it a listen. So that's what I think a lot of people are going to say. Like, it's one of those deals where I'll say it like Dick Vitale. Like, a lot of people didn't like Dick Vitale, but a lot of people listen to games with Dick Vitale because he made the game more exciting if it was a boring game, right? So it could be a similar situation. They might not like Denny Hamlin, but they're going to be interested in what he has to say. So there will be some people that listen for that. There will also, not for nothing, there will also be some hate listeners, right? There will be some people that absolutely hate Denny Hamlin, and they hate him so much that they're going to listen to every word he says so that they can complain about what he has to say. So there's going to be some of that too. I think it'll be a good podcast. I think it'll be pretty successful. I am interested to see what kind of format it is. So I'll be checking it out. Matt Hunter says, thinking Hitch sounds better. Mark Hunter says, oops. Troy Ferreira says, good day from Victoria, British Columbia. What's up, Canada? What's up, Troy? Good to have you on here. Good to see you, man. Let's see here. Tacona 2 says, I cannot stand listening to Hamlin for 3 minutes after a race, never less than an hour. I doubt this will succeed, says Tacona 2. So there you go. Tacona 2 is on the anti-Denny train. So there you go. Looks like this is the time for a poll, right? Start a poll. Will you listen/watch the Denny Hamlin podcast? I can't spell. I should have added an option and said yes, but I won't tell anybody. Like that I should have added that option to it. That I think there is going to be a few like that. So let's see here. Molten Ray says, Baloney, my comments keep getting deleted again on my primary. Did I get banned again? You did not get banned again. So if somebody can reinstate Molten's other one, but just talk on this one for now. We'll get it sorted out. I had to work today, Molten, so that's partly on me. I didn't have a chance to get in there and fix it myself. So you're good to go. Matt Hunter says, which name sounds better to change as a handle? Apoplectic Bumblebee or a Stupid Rage? I don't know. They're pretty good. I like Matt Hunter as far as that goes. For me, I like Stupid Rage because I can say that a little bit easier than Apoplectic Bumblebee. Yeah, let's just go with that because I'm just gonna call you App Bumble if you do that one because I call Epileptic Bumblebee because epileptic is another one that's you're gonna stumble over it. Yeah, the ban has not been lifted, Molten, but we're gonna work on it. We're gonna get it fixed. Molten Alt. Cassandra Keller says, I love the SRX. Yeah, the SRX is a really cool series if you've never seen it. So that's definitely going to be a good one. Robin Mark says, howdy from Canada. What's up, Robin? What's up, Canada? Always good to have you on here. I think this is the second time I said what's up, Canada. So that's pretty cool. One Wise Guy says, what's up, everybody? What's up, One Wise Guy? Always good to have you on here. Troy Ferreira with the yes on, I think, watching the podcast maybe. Team Penske fan says, hey, what's up? How are you? Haven't been here for a while. Yeah, I've been missing you, man, but good to have you on this one. Always good to see you. Rodney Collier says, I hope Ryan Newman comes back to SRX too. He was awesome at South Boston. Yeah, he put on a show, and he put on a show last year, just about all the ones he ran. So hopefully he runs a full season next year, and I'd love to see him do that. I know he's expanded his deal with the Sadler brothers. He runs a modified for the Sadler brothers, so it's really cool if you like modifieds. Ryan Newman's basically got a full season of modified racing with Hermie Sadler, and I think Elliott Sadler's got a hand in it as well, probably on the sponsorship side. But I know it's basically Hermie Sadler's team. Let's see. Cassandra Keller said, hey, Mark, One Wise Guy says, looking forward to Harvick in the SRX opener. Yeah, that's going to be a big deal. Like, I'm ready to see Kevin Harvick. I think he's going to absolutely put it on him. I'm ready to see Kevin Harvick go down there and just I think he's going to give him something to think about. It's going to be pretty cool. And I could be wrong. Like, those guys, they're all legends and champions. When they see a guy like that come in there, that's one of those deals where they might raise their level up as well. And it could be a deal where the ringer comes in and says, hey, I'm getting disrespected by all you guys. And the ringer comes in there and waxes them. We saw that with Bubba Pollard last year, right? So it's going to be really cool to watch. That's just part of the reason I like the SRX series. That, and they don't take it serious. Like, yeah, people are running for a championship in that, but you never get the feeling that that's the main concern. Everybody's just out there going for the win, right? So that's really the cool thing about the SRX series. Matt Hunter says, greetings from Tampa. We'll periodically drop Project 24 Cup team lineups throughout the chat. No problem with that. Mark Barnum says, careful saying you like Denny, you might lose followers. I mean, I don't hate him. Like, here's my deal. I don't hate any driver. So that's part of it. like I said, I was an Earnhardt fan and I was a Kevin Harvick fan. And basically, when Kevin Harvick left RCR, I had the realization that, because I still pulled for Kevin Harvick, but then I was like, well, I got to pull for RCR and Kevin Harvick now. So now I got to pull for two teams. So it was just never the same after Kevin Harvick left RCR, and really never the same when the Goodwrench man started driving a Ford. But after that happened, I just I realized I had hated on Jimmy Johnson for so long. I had hated on Jeff Gordon for so long that I actually missed out on how great those drivers were. Same thing with Dale Jarrett. Hated on Dale Jarrett so hard because of that Daytona 500 he won over Earnhardt. And I realized in that moment, I was like, I have hated on these guys for so long that I missed out on how freaking great they were. So once I had that realization, I was like, these guys have never done anything to me, so why am I hating on them? I can literally pull for my guy and not hate on another guy, and there's literally nothing wrong with that. So like I don't know. I guess I got a different view of things than most people now, but Denny Hamlin does not bother me. He just doesn't bother me. I think he's pretty funny. I think he's just a pretty funny guy. Joey Logano doesn't bother. I'm just going to go down the list of most hated. None of them bother me. So it is what it is. They might do some stupid stuff that I'll call out for being stupid, but like as a driver, as a person, they don't really bother me. Anyway, Molten Ray says Ty Gibbs would definitely not enjoy that podcast being a thing because we know exactly he's going to be the target of every episode. He might be the target on some of the episodes. There's no doubt about that. Tony Ferreira says good for NASCAR. Cassandra, I think it will be good for NASCAR too. I agree with you. Cassandra Keller says maybe listen the first time to Denny. So there you go. She's going to give it a chance. Mark Wachowski, it depends on what you call whining. Jimmy Johnson or Chase Elliott, when they whine, it's called sound advice. When Denny or Kyle complain, it's called whining. That's a fair point. Mark Wachowski. So there is a double standard of guys that are universally beloved. Like if Dale Jr. or Chase Elliott says something, because they are the most popular driver, everybody's like, oh yeah, he spoke out. He's telling it like it is. But if somebody you don't like, in this case, Denny Hamlin speaks out and says something you don't like, everybody's like, F that guy. He's such a crybaby, So that's that's just the way we are as fans, right? That's part of the deal, right? So there you go. Skyblazer RC said he agrees. Tony McCall says, "What's up, Burger Man? Drink another bullet." LOL. Good to see you. I appreciate it, Tony McCall. Silver Bullet gang. Y'all drinking silver bullets. This is clearly Diet Coke, red and silver. Anyways, TJ Mooreshed said. Just went speaker shopping. I love me some JBL, but it's so overpriced. Yeah, they're still up there, man. I tell you what, I can't remember the last time I put speakers in a car, they were Kenwoods, but I can't remember the last time I've actually replaced speakers in my house. I've had my surround sound for a long time, and my surround sound is it's not even a surround sound anymore. But what's left of my surround sound is just a sound bar up in the front, and that's a Sony sound bar. That sound bar has pretty much, it's gotten me everything I wanted. So there you go. Plug in Sony here, I guess. Go buy a Sony soundbar. But Sony soundbars are still pretty expensive, but not quite as bad as JBL. At least the last time I bought one, which was like 2012. So literally over a decade ago. Over a decade. The thing's lasted over a decade and it's still rolling. So there you go. But JBL is definitely good too. I've had some of their stuff in the back. In the past, I've actually had some of their speakers when I'm editing stuff. They make really good speakers for that as well. Sennheiser, of course, is the if you want to go blow a lot of money but have the absolute best quality, Sennheiser is usually going to be your best bet for that. Anyway, let's see. T-Van says, what's up, T-Van? Newman was robbed in 2022. He's the true SRX champion, says Bumblebee. Yeah, so that's another deal. He definitely was the actual champion, but at the end of the day, they didn't do the points the right way, and he ended up not being the champion. So once again, Newman finishes second in the championship, unfortunately. But once again, I don't think anybody, as far as SRX goes, I don't think anybody really watches it for the championship. I think everybody just wants to see somebody win. I think that's one of the unique things about the SRX series. The championship is secondary to the actual race on the track, and that is amazing how they pulled that off. I don't even know if they intended to do that, but that's just sort of how it goes. Let's see here. BB, do you have any thoughts on Kyle Busch's tire test at COTA and his comments regarding being the villain? I haven't seen any information on that, but as far as him being the villain, I think I haven't seen what he said, so I'm just speaking off the top of my head about it. I think he embraces the role of being the villain, and I think he likes it, and he does that stuff on purpose. So I think him being the villain is just something he likes doing, and he plays it up more than its actual fact now. Whereas back in the day when he was younger, they were real, actual emotions. Now when he's being the villain, he's just sort of trolling a little bit. I got my Thunder Road SRX tickets today, so there you go. TJ Mooreshed, man, that's going to be awesome, dude. That's going to be a good race too. And I love the name of that racetrack, Thunder Road. That's just cool. We at South Boston, we have a race every year called the Thunder Road, presented by Thunder Road Harley Davidson, and it's one of the bigger races they have there. I just like the name; it's really cool. Thunder Road Harley Davidson, Harley Davidson dealer up in Virginia. I think it's in South Boston, but I could be wrong about that. I could be totally wrong about that. It might not even be in Virginia. They sponsor Brandon Pierce, so there you go. Molten Rage says Ryan Newman versus Kevin Harvick would be cool to watch because they used to be teammates. Heck, Harvick replaced him at SHR, so that could be revenge for taking his spot. Yeah, so there's a storyline right there, right? That's what somebody was saying. Who are you going to get to replace Harvick? Somebody had mentioned Ryan Newman, which I don't think they'll do, but that would be like the ultimate. Like if they gave Ryan Newman, what if Stewart Haas Racing gave Ryan Newman just a few races to retire on, like to sort of go out with his cup career, like just sort of have a farewell tour since he didn't really get one. Stewart Haas, that would be sort of cool because he would be going back to Stewart Haas and finishing out his career there with one or two races, but I don't think he's a viable candidate to replace Kevin Harvick. They're about the same age. So Drew Chronic says, Duke Chronic, I always say your name's Drew. Duke Chronic says, Denny Podcast, I hope he has a good partner. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I do want to see the format. Is he going to have a consistent partner on there like Junior does with Mike Davis? Or is he going to have, is it just going to be Denny talking and then he brings on a guest? Or is it just going to be Denny talking for like the first 15 minutes and then he brings on a guest? Like, I'm interested to see the format. Are they going to throw something totally new out there at us? Will we see something totally different? Mark Barnum says, Labonte and Deegan will put Harvick in the wall. Yeah, there's a chance that happens for sure. No doubt about it. Let's see here. Only driver in NASCAR anyone needs to hate is Rick Crawford. So, yeah, I'll agree with that one without going into it because obviously I don't want another a bad boy check mark on one of these streams. So I'm not going to get into that. But if you don't know, Google Rick Crawford, and that's why nobody should ever like him. And he is rotten where he deserves to be rotten. For the rest of his life. Duke Chronic says veterans that earn their way, I respect. I agree. Let's see. So Cassandra Keller says good points. Ty Gibbs detrimental to stock car. Set by every week. Single veteran in Cup Garage. Will be said by every veteran every week in the Cup Garage. Says Molten Rage. It could be. He might also cool his jets. He might be a totally different guy. He's had a lot happen to him in a very short period of time. We don't know if he'll even be the same Ty Gibbs. So he's got a lot on his plate. But if he drives like he's been driving in the Xfinity Series, he's gonna get his chain yanked by one of these guys, no doubt about it. Cassandra Keller says, I just don't like Denny the driver. So there you go. That's a fact. Troy Ferreira says rye. Rye is a fine form of beverage, so that's also another good beverage to have while I'm drinking my Diet Cokes here. Let's see. Molten says, "What move? I don't know. Why did Ray Evernham leave SRX Racing? So that's a sticky situation, and nobody knows the full answer." But he's been replaced by Fury Racing, which is owned by Tony Uri Jr. So that is who replaced Ray Evernham as far as setting the cars up and getting them prepared. But why he left or why he was forced out is anybody's guess. I don't know the story behind that. I don't know that I've seen anybody actually release the full story as to what happened. But my feeling on that is that he is not happy about it. So that leads me to believe there was some type of tension and some type of split. So I don't know. All I can say is I don't know, and my opinion of it is that it was not mutual. So that's my only thoughts on that one. Tony McCall says I was a hard head in the old days. Dale Sr. was my man. I did not care about other drivers. When he passed away, I searched my feelings. Yeah, so it's crazy. I think everybody, when they first get into the sport, they have that one driver they pull for, and if anything happens to that driver, another driver wrecks him or gets into him, they immediately don't like that other driver. But I feel like basically as you get older and your driver retires or is no longer racing, like in the case of Senior, I think when that happens, you'll eventually pick another guy, but you'll never pull for that other driver as hard as you pulled for your first driver, in my opinion. So it's just kind of one of those things. Like Richard Petty was my guy, and when Richard Petty retired, like I already knew I was going to pull for Earnhardt when Richard Petty retired. But when Richard Petty retired, I pulled for Earnhardt, and that's a rare case because it was so early in my life. I actually pulled for Earnhardt because I got more years to watch Earnhardt than I did Richard Petty. So I probably pulled for Earnhardt maybe harder than Petty, but I don't know. Like I don't know. I was mad sometimes when Richard Petty didn't win. I do remember tears at various points. I would get mad if anybody said somebody was better than Richard Petty. So I don't know. So after those two, after Earnhardt was gone, I never pulled for anybody quite as hard. I don't think after that. I pulled pretty hard for Harvick because I felt like he was in a tight spot, like he was in a tough position. So I did pull for him, and but yeah, after Harvick sort of went to Stewart-Haas and whatever, I just I don't know, it just wasn't the same. I started liking everybody, I guess I should say, and I pulled for the guys I pulled for, but I never had that one guy like I did with Earnhardt or Harvick or Richard Petty. Tacona 2 with the super chat. I appreciate it, Tacona 2. For the Yugo Fun, funny story. My older brother owned one and got pulled over for speeding. The first thing the cop said was, I never pulled over a Yugo for speeding before. That's hilarious. That's awesome. We're going to add that to the Yugo lore. I appreciate all the help with the Yugo Fun. Man, that thing is cool. So some of you guys sent me one of a Yugo in Chicago for $400. That was an awesome find. There is one issue with that. I have to take a trailer into the city of Chicago, and I'm not that good at driving a trailer. So I'm going to try to find one, but the tentative plan right now is to find one. And if I can't find one, I'm going to go with a Fiat, possibly 500L or Fiat 500, because Fiat bought out the remaining shares of Zavasta, I think is how you say it, but that's who owned Yugo. So Fiat bought out Yugo, so we're going to go with a Fiat if I can't find a reasonable, affordable Yugo. And on the bright side, Fiat is rated as one of the least reliable cars out there. So I feel like it's a apples to apples deal, and it's just nice that it lines up like that. So that's pretty cool. So it looks like the project car is going to be a Fiat. As of right now, but don't worry, I am on the hunt for a regular Yugo as well, and I appreciate y'all looking out for me. But unfortunately, I'm not taking an enclosed trailer through the streets of Chicago. So sorry about that one. But if it had been like in a rural area, that would have been a different story. Molten Ray says Larson was the only driver who complained about the Martinsville move. Oh, I've skipped down too far. Here we go. Molten Ray says, Mark, if you're talking about Martinsville, he didn't complain about actually, he praised Ross for making that move. Larson was the only driver who complained about the Martinsville move. Yeah, and then Larson actually backtracked and said, yes, I'm a hypocrite for saying it. So yeah, that was not the brightest thing that Kyle Larson, and I'm saying this as a massive Kyle Larson fan. So, don't at me. Yeah, that was one of the dumbest things Kyle Larson ever said. Probably the second dumbest thing he ever said. And moving on, we're not going to talk about that. Alan Bestwick and Mike Joy would be an amazing TV booth. Yeah, they would be. And Kevin Harvick in there with them as well. That would be banging. Just have four guys too, like Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, Mike Joy, and Alan Bestwick. There you go. That's a banging booth right there. And then instead of getting a Hendrick bias, you get a Stewart-Haas racing bias. So there you go. I like it. Kyle Busch says babyface turn in 2023. LOL. I think he's going to be a babyface for sure. One wise guy says drop the merch link. You know what, one wise guy? I'm going to do that for you because for once I've actually remembered to do it. There you go. There's the merchandise. We got T-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, and coffee mugs, and maybe some other stuff that I can't remember. But there you go. The merchandise is right there. If you're interested. Let's see here. Rodney says, I'm not trying to change the subject, but I just saw an announcement today that Daytona is a sellout. I can't believe that given our economic condition, that it's a complete sellout. So yeah, so because because I got tickets to the 24 hours, they've been sending me these emails. So it is a complete sellout, and they're doing the same thing that Phoenix did when the race at Phoenix was completely sold out. They are selling standing room only tickets. So if you still want to get a ticket to the Daytona 500 and you want to stand the entire time, they will have some section over there where you can stand the entire time. So if you still want to go watch the Daytona 500, there is still time. There are still standing room only tickets, so you can get a ticket to the Daytona 500. Don't listen to all this sold out talks. Yes, all the actual seats are sold out, but they do have some standing room only areas, and that's actually how I watched the race in Phoenix. I was in a standing room only area, but I went down there and sat down at sort of a concession area and was still able to see all of the race. So I'm pretty sure Daytona will have something very similar. So if you want to see the Daytona 500, you definitely still can. Let's see here. I appreciate that, by the way, Rodney, because I needed to touch on that, and it completely had slipped my mind. Mark Wachowski says, villain at RCR is a business as usual. Earnhardt, Harvick, Robbie, Gordon, Austin, and Hornaday. So there you go. That's a good point. RCR has always had sort of the bad guys that everybody pulls for, right? As far as wrestling terms go, they're supposed to be bad guys, but they're like sort of like your Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin was always supposed to be a bad guy, but everybody liked him. So it ended up being just one of those deals where even though they're the bad guy and they do things that people don't like, the vast majority of people still like them. So it is what it is. Rodney Collier says NASCAR is blowing smoke up our skirts. Yeah, it could be, but they are still selling standing room only tickets. So it's not it's sold out, but it's not sold out. You can still get a ticket. And just to tell you the truth, if you got plenty of money, if you walk down the strip after you park your car at Daytona International Speedway, there will be people out there scalping tickets. So if you really want to go, you're never stuck in the mud or dead in the water. There's always going to be a chance to get inside there. That's a big gamble, so I wouldn't drive like 6 hours and bank on finding some dude with a ticket. But every time I've gone to Daytona, there's been guys out there scalping tickets. So there you go. Which I don't know if it's scalping. I think they're part of they're people with the track that I don't know. So it is what it is. But be careful. Molten Ray says, no, I meant the other way around. Harvick replaced Newman in the beginning of 2014. Yeah, I knew what you meant. I was talking about somebody else's comment, talking about Newman should replace Harvick. I knew what you meant. They basically did a trade, and Kevin Harvick won the championship that year, and Ryan Newman finished second or third with one of the most amazing seasons with only one win of all time from Ryan Newman. Let's see here. Troy Ferreira says, yes. Matt Hunter says, JGR, the 18, Nemechek, 19, Burton, number 20, Ty in the 50, Christopher Bell in the 20, number 54 for Ty, Hamlin in the number 11 to 2311 in 2024. So that's something that's gaining a lot of steam because Joe Gibbs keeps Denny Hamlin and that's basically like a surrogate son to him in a way. He's really tight with Denny Hamlin for whatever reason. So there's still a lot of talk about when Joe Gibbs retires and gets out of it, he's going to give operational control to Denny Hamlin, at which point 2311 and Joe Gibbs Racing would have to merge at some point, and they would obviously have to sell off two charters in that particular situation. But there is a growing, and I haven't seen anything official or heard any substantial rumor to that, but there is chatter going around that is going to be how Joe Gibbs exits racing. When he exits racing, he's going to hand over control to Denny Hamlin, and 2311 and JGR are going to merge. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but a lot of people keep talking about it. So take that with a grain of salt. So take it for what it is. The conversation's out there, but I haven't heard anybody like official say anything about it. So be careful. Don't go around acting like it's true because it's really just that, a rumor. Mark Barnum says ticket prices are out of hand everywhere as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so back in the day, you could go to a race for like $20. Like you'd spend 15 for a ticket, 25 bucks. You could spend 20 or 15 for a ticket and then $5 for a cold beverage and you'd be good to go. But now I think the cheapest ticket I've bought recently is like $40, and that was sort of a front row-ish seat. which is not good at a racetrack. If you go to like a ball game, nosebleed tickets are considered the cheap seats at a baseball game. You go to a race, the cheap seats are considered closer to the track, because the closer to the track you are, the less of the track you can see. The cheapest ticket I've seen recently at a Cup Series race has been $40, and that was for a upfront seat where you couldn't technically see the whole track. Although that was at Martinsville, and I could still see pretty much all of the same track, all of the track. But that's the cheapest one I've seen recently. I heard Daytona sold out, but I'm hoping that's not true. I'm like 100% sold out because I still haven't got my tickets for the 500. Go ahead and get them now, Moulton, and you're just going to have to get standing room only seats. So I would go ahead and get them now, because they'll sell out too as well. So I would definitely keep an eye out for those and go ahead and get those if you want to get them. February will be here before you know it. One wise guy said, "Am I the only one thinking Denny should interview Joey and Ross back to back? That would be hilarious." So he should definitely make Ross Chastain his first interview. That would be awesome. And for like his season finale, he should do Joey Logano, and they should sort of like put that to bed and be done with it and be over it. So those to me, that would be the two bookends. Like you do Ross Chastain first, you do Joey Logano last, or vice versa. You do Joey Logano first and you do Ross Chastain last, and everybody else is in the middle. So I think that would be good. Let's see here. TJ Moorshed says up. Moulton. Mark Barnum says Moulton. I think they're talking grandstand tickets and camping. Yeah, for sure. They're still standing room only tickets, but I would get those for sure. Ian Fisher says one wise guy, that would be great. Chrome Diesel says, "Hi BB. I see you switched up the cap to Bowman's Ally." Yeah, for sure. I like that. I try to rotate hats when I'm doing the live streams a little bit, because you can't really see my shirt. I'm just wearing a plain shirt today because I was working. Let's see here. Chrome Diesel says, "Hi BB." Just read that one. Troy Ferreira says three forever, my man. Let's see here. Moulton says Denny Hamlin would probably be fine with Ross, but him with Joey in a room for 1 hour surviving. For 1 hour, Joey isn't surviving 1 second in there. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's I don't know. I know they still don't like each other, but I think the podcast will be interesting. And I'll tell you who else he needs to interview. He needs to be the interview on Kyle Busch, without a doubt. Bumblebee says, "Tell us a little bit about that Porsche you posted earlier. Looked awesome." So yeah, I was doing some freelance work. Every once in a while, I know I've got like 4 million jobs. I know everybody's like, "What do you actually do?" I do a lot of stuff. I have like 4 actual jobs. So one of those jobs is I do some freelance camera stuff. So they were filming a commercial. So basically, I was just a camera guy. I was just taking video of the Porsche there, and so that was it. It was a Porsche Cayenne, and it was like one of the better trims you can get on it. It was the one with all the racy stuff on it. So it was pretty cool. They wouldn't let me drive it, so I was bummed out about that. And also, it was a automatic. Bummed out about that as well. But I'm pretty sure most of those SUVs are probably automatics. Mark Bukowski says Ty Gibbs will be a force to reckon with. He is as good as they say. Come give him some time, and you will witness greatness. A lot of hate is jealousy. Yeah, I think Ty Gibbs has a lot of potential. And I think he's going to be in a tough spot. He's dealt with a lot recently, so I think he's going to come out. I don't know if he'll be the same driver, but I think after a few races, you'll sort of see what kind of driver he's going to be, because I feel like he's going to have matured a lot. That's one of those deals when something like that happens. No matter who you are, it changes you and usually matures you quite a bit. It really gets you focused on what's going on in life. And sort of some of the trivial stuff that he probably used to think was funny and stuff like that is probably not going to mean much to him anymore. So there's a good chance you see a very focused young Ty Gibbs next season coming up. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Tony McCall says, "Been watching Dale since 1979. But the pink car wowed me." LOL. So yeah, there you go. He had one pink car one time. It was supposed to be purple, but they messed up the paint and it came out pink. So that is some Dale Earnhardt lore for you. Mark Kowski says Yugo with the speeding ticket was for going 32 and a 25. There you go. Sven Larson says Le car, man, come on. Yep. Yep. The old fiat yugo deal is going to be it's going to be an adventure. We'll say that for sure. It's going to be a fix it again Tony experience for a lot of that, I do believe. So for those who don't know, that's an acronym for fiat. Fix it again Tony, because they break down all the time. So Troy Ferreira saying funny. He liked the joke there. Sven Larson says we'll watch Hamlin and Dirty Mo. So there you go. I appreciate it, Sven. I think it's going to be a really good show, no matter what you think of Denny Hamlin. I think it's going to be one of those deals where it's just one of those shows you're going to watch no matter what, because I think he's just going to be super interesting. Oakside says people giving an F about their economic situation. People stop giving an F about their economic situation. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to justify buying tickets with some of the situations going on right now, and that's about as far as I can go without delving into politics, which I stay away from, because nobody wants to hear that on a race car what is this live stream. The podcast thing's got me. Denny Hamlin Podcast. I want to call everything a podcast today. Old Home Guy says, hello, BB. What's up, Old Home Guy? Good to see you on here as usual. Douglas Serrano says, hi, Double B. And everyone just tuning in. I haven't seen the Dale Jr. episode yet, but will soon. So it's not, I don't think it is a Dale Jr. episode. Denny Hamlin's getting his own podcast, Douglas, with the Dirty Mo Media. So it's called Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin. And it's going to be his own podcast on the Dirty Mo Media website and YouTube and wherever else you find Dirty Mo Media material, your favorite podcast location. Delmar Kaufman says, do you think Legacy MC will form an alliance with Hendrick in the future? No, I think they're going to stay RCR, because I think Jimmy Johnson wants to make his own name. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I just don't think they will. I think they're happy with what they're doing right now. University of Northern Ohio fan zone inside the track in between turn 4 and the tri-oval will be prepared to watch 3/4 of the race on the big screen TV. Still a great experience, though, says TJ Morshed. So there you go. Oakside says, do you play iRacing? I do not right now. My internet where I'm currently at is bad. I did have iRacing. I paid for a 1-year subscription, only to find out that my internet was trash and I kept lagging and getting logged out of races, which is really good for your iRacing score. If you get logged out, it's the same thing as rage quitting, and there you go. So never actually got a chance to super compete in it. I did do some tests, like I could test in it. It is a challenging video game simulator, whatever they call it. It's a video game. And that's not taking anything away from video games. It takes just as much skill to be good in a video game as it takes to be in a race car. It's just two totally different things. You got to put in the same amount of time. One's just way more expensive. One, a lot more people can do because it's less expensive, but still expensive. Epileptic Bumblebee says heels that are cool are called tweeners. Kevin Nash and Roddy Piper were good examples. Hot Rod Roddy Piper was the best. That was my favorite guy growing up. Him and Big Boss Man. NASCAR needs to listen, and Macho Man, by the way, as a little kid. NASCAR needs to listen to diehard fans, says Finn Larson. I think so too. I wish they would, but they keep going the opposite direction and listening to other people. There's a good interview with Tony Stewart where he talks about a guy. He was in a meeting with NASCAR, and this guy just didn't listen to any of the drivers' opinions, and they just started doing whatever they wanted to do. And so I feel like that's still where NASCAR is at, and that's the reason they're doing what they're doing. And that's also the reason, or part of the reason, that Tony Stewart started the SRX series. So now NASCAR eventually is going to have to start listening, because with Tony Stewart and the SRX deal, and Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick, and that group over there with the Cars Tour, they're going to start getting significant ratings. And NASCAR is going to have to open their eyes and wake up and say, hey, they're doing a good thing over there. Maybe we should, listen to the race car drivers, listen to the fans. So I think NASCAR eventually is going to have to wake up economically, because they're going to see those series be successful. Aaron Flynn says, it wouldn't surprise me if qualifying was like Dale Jr. wants it, and you could watch it on Dirty Mo. That would be pretty cool. That'd be a cool deal. Tony McCall says, hit me up later. You know who I am. Old lady is, okay, there you go. I got you, man. That's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you gotta listen to your significant other. So check you later, Tony McCall. Old Home Guy says JGR has been in it long enough. Too much influence NFL wise. Yeah, they got the wrong people running it, in my opinion. They're trying to make it the NFL. Mark Barnum, how will NASCAR rig the system so Pastrana gets in the 500? I don't know that you can rig a plate race other than throw everybody in tech out that finishes in front of him. So there you go. Douglas Serrano says, has NASCAR fixed the new car yet? They say they fixed it, so they've implemented the fixes to them. Some people said they still haven't gotten their car yet, so they can't even finish their builds and stuff like that. So that's been an issue, but they do have the fix, and they're welding them up as we speak. So hopefully everybody has enough for a show car or something. I saw Rodney Childers talking about it. It's not like and that was on Twitter. It's not like I was like roaming shop to shop. Hey, y'all got the new car yet? So that's where that information came from. Rodney Childers put that out there on Twitter, on the Twitters. Oakzide says Travis Pastrami. So there you go, Travis Pastrami. Matthew DiBurrito. There's a few food names out there. Fast Pasta. That's Anthony Alfredo's term. Robin Marks. Don't forget to like and thumbs up the video. I would appreciate that if you would like to do that. I got to cook, but I'll be listening to you all in the background. So there you go. We're going full podcast for Robin Marks here. He'll just be listening, but that's cool too. You can do that. And Duke Chronic, I was about to read that and and you deleted it. So I will read the next one by you. So there you go. I guess Travis doesn't want to do the racing series. He did with Ken Block. So that's an interesting point. That's gonna be interesting to see how that goes going forward. Ken Block obviously had some stuff in the iron, some irons on the fire, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with that. Duke Chronic with that one. Yeah, that for sure is gonna be interesting. We'll have to keep a track on that. It's gonna be really interesting to see what Hoonigan as a whole does going forward. They lost without a doubt their biggest star. Joey for the win says, what do you think about Blaney or Bowman's chance this year? I think they both got. I think Blaney is going to win 3 or 4 races. I think he comes out angry that he didn't get a win last year, other than the All-Star race. So I look for him to win 3 or 4 races. Alex Bowman, I think, is going to win 3 or 4 races, or has a chance to win 3 or 4 races as well, like he does every year. The thing I want to see with Alex Bowman is, can he stay consistent? Can he mitigate those bad days? Because when he has a bad day, he has a really bad day. If he can start mitigating some of those bad days, I think he'd be okay. And some of it is just like literal bad luck. There's literally nothing he can do about it. He's one of those drivers that does have bad luck. Dale and Mike said it's good for Denny to be slow, to be on a show with no guest. So there you go. So it might be a no guest show. We're gonna see how that goes down. Mark Langren says, hello from the land of the Frozen Chosen. What's up, Mark Langren? What's up, Mark Langren? And what's up, Frozen Chosen? Mark Barnum says, predicting 7 inches of snow here in the corn path tomorrow. So there you go. More snow for you guys. Boo says Tony Ferreira on the snow. I'm about that too. I'm not a big snow fan. Because usually down here when we get snow, there's a layer of ice underneath of it that makes it just treacherous. Moulton says this is Hall of Fame induction week. It is Hall of Fame induction week, so that'll be something to keep an eye on as well. Mark Langer says that is probably the fastest SUV. I think so. I think it is up there still. I'm not 100% sure. I know, like in a straight line, somebody did a Trailhawk or something like that, but I think that had aftermarket parts on it. I think you're right. I think the Porsche did overtake them as well. Matt Hunter says Zane Smith replaces Harrison at Wood Brothers Racing in the 21. Stenhouse succeeds Harvick at JTG, sells out to Junior and Andretti. Oh, there we go. And the 47 is rebranded as the 88 with Josh Berry. There you go. There will be some big moves if that happened. The only one I'm iffy about is the Stenhouse one. I think they put somebody else over there at Stewart Haas Racing, not named Stenhouse, but I think that other stuff is possible. I don't know about Junior and Andretti. That's a rumor we started over here, but Junior and Andretti, like, golly, what a unit that would be if that was a race team. I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll and see where we are with the ended poll. Where did it come out? I got to scroll to the bottom to find out the poll results. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom. I have marked my place so that I can read all these. And 58% said yes, they are going to listen to the Denny Hamlin podcast. So there you go. All right, CPO Fast Forward says, my run in my run-in with U.S. race fans, a friend and I drove from Montreal to Loudon. We got gas halfway, and the staff got word of what we were doing. They called someone who had tickets and who gave them to us. So there you go. There you go. That's pretty cool. So every once in a while, if you just say what you're doing, good things will happen. You gotta manifest your own fate. So that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, race fans are awesome. Like usually if you ask around, sometimes you can find a ticket to an event like somebody's not going to use. I've done that with Martinsville several times. I've had friends call me up and be like, "Are you going to Martinsville?" I was like, "I wasn't planning on it. I ain't got tickets yet." He was like, "Well, what if you got tickets?" That's happened a lot. So it's good to put it out there when you want to go to a race, because you never know, somebody might be they might have something come up and they can't go, and you might be able to get their tickets. So that's pretty cool. Let's see here. Troy Ferreira says be set by safe or be safe. So no doubt. Mark Langren with the thumbs up. Mark Langren also says merch. I posted the merch earlier, but I can do it again. I will post. There you go. Here is the. Yeah, there you go. There's the merchandise website for you there, Mark. So there you go. Chrome Diesel says, even though I wasn't a fan of Hamlin, I agree with him with the safety of the car and the championship concerns. So yeah, I think he was all over that. Good point, Chrome Diesel. That's actually one of the cool things about this. He will have that platform of his own podcast where he can go into further detail on stuff like that. And that's going to be really interesting. Not only because he's going to say what he wants to, but how is NASCAR going to react to that? Is NASCAR going to start finding people for what they say on a podcast? That's actually a layer of this that I really want to see. Does NASCAR fine him outright, or do they just make him go through tech 25 times? You know, they can find him outright, or they can find ways of going about it. BB, you planning any road trips for this year? I am planning on some road trips, and I was going to announce some of that earlier, but then I've got like a whole big spiel about what I want to do. But then I had some home problems and had to spend some money on that. So I've had to push that back, because actually I was going to announce the 24 hours of Daytona. Now that the 24 hours of Daytona is sort of I don't know. I'm still going. It's just not going to be as cool as I was previously when I was going. But we'll stay tuned. That's all. I don't want to give too much away on that one. They want Dirty Mo to do a live episode for his viewers at Track Live during a race day with subscribers. Said today during his live video this morning. So there you go. There you go. You got to. Looks like it's going to be a subscriber deal, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Molten Rage says Casey Kane Racing, which currently exists as a World of Outlaws team, will expand to the Craftsman Truck Series this season. Is that actual news, or is that one of your fantasy predictions, Molten? I don't know. You sort of do both, so you got to let me know. But that would be cool if it actually happens. Mark Wachowski says Landon Huffman was doing some ARCA testing for Mullins Racing. So was Landon Pimbleton. So you had the Landon and Landon show. To see a door open for him, it would be cool to see a door open for him. He does a really good job, not only on the racetrack, but he does a good job with his YouTube channel, basically showing you some behind the scenes on what it's like to be a late model stock car driver. So check him out over there. It's just Landon Huffman Racing, I think, on YouTube. He does a great job over there, so definitely check him out. Let's see. Duke Chronic says, I got to have a hardwired internet for iRacing. Yeah. I tried that too, and it just it wasn't. I don't know. My internet sucks. I'm surprised I'm able to do these. But if you guys remember the early ones of these, they sucked too, because the things would twitch out and they wouldn't go. I don't know. I got dropped a lot in the early days, so it looks like the internet company's doing good now. So hopefully it's better than it was. Expect one full-time truck, one part-time truck with Casey Kane himself attempting the Bristol Dirt Race, says Molten Rage. All right, so there you go. It looks like that's official news. Let's see here. Jamaica Sparks, hi from North Wilkesboro. What's up, North Wilkesboro? What's up, Jamaica? Delmar Kaufman says Petty Brothers Racing has a new YouTube channel. They talk about some old school Petty Enterprise days. Yes, that's pretty much just a it's a YouTube channel, but it's pretty much just those guys talking about stuff. Really long episodes, but the first one I watched was pretty cool. I didn't make it all the way through it because I had stuff to do that day, but definitely some cool stuff they got going on over there. So check out Petty Brothers Racing. That is a YouTube channel, not to be confused with the Petty GMS Race Car channel, which they haven't posted anything on in quite some time. I would like to see Travis Pastrana race the Bristol Dirt Race this year, says Ian Fisher. So yeah, that could be one that he does as well. He's got, I think, what was it, like four or six races? So he'll definitely race more than Daytona. Oakzide said, I had issues with my internet at first with iRacing. I looked it up, and it was a common issue with Netgear routers. Was a easy fix. No longer get disconnected. So there you go. Maybe in the future one day. I got some friends with some good internet, so we'll have to see if we can do some finagling. I might get on there one day. I'm well past my prime as far as that stuff goes. I haven't played video games, golly, since like I think the last video game I played was Destiny 2, and then Destiny 2, it just got crappier and crappier. So I want to say around maybe 2017 or 2018, I got out of video games altogether. But before that, I was quite into them. Also with the late model schedule, it just doesn't work out. So anyway, but I could make some time for iRacing. Just don't expect a whole lot because it's been a long time. I used to love playing Forza though. Forza was my game, and always will be my favorite video game. Douglas Serrano said, "Is Casey Kane really returning?" I don't know, Douglas. I don't know. We'll have to find it out. Molden Ray says, "I'm excited to hear Casey Kane return to NASCAR." So it looks to be official. I just haven't seen it yet. So Molten is letting us know that it looks to be official. Casey Kane is returning. So there you go. Several. I might have to make 2 or 3 videos tonight for tomorrow. Rodney says, "I got an idea for Denny in his podcast. Get Jordan F to be in his studio. Get his studio." Oh golly, Rodney. I'm not gonna touch that one, man. They're back together and everything is good over there in that land. I just realized after I read that Rodney over here, Rodney over here trolling a little bit. So there you go. Rodney, a big Joey Logano fan, so he is. It's going to be interesting to see if he hate listens to that. That's what I want to know. Hey, Rodney, are you going to listen to it? Are you going to do a hate listen, or are you just going to ignore it altogether? Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble for saying that one for sure. Rodney got me. All right, Molten Ray says yes. Apparently he's returning. So yeah, it's official. Casey Kane is returning, and he will be doing some truck series stuff apparently. Old Home Guy says in any tire testing rumblings. The big tire test is going to be at Richmond at some point, but they did one today at COTA, so I'm ready to see what happens with the Richmond tire test. That's the one I got my eyes on. Can they possibly fix the short track package in NASCAR? Because it's trash right now. Your local short tracks all around the world and everything are just putting on much better shows. Roger Johnson, PRW owner there, Roger Johnson, Performance Racing Warehouse. Current national champion Lane Riggs was driving one of those championship chassis when he won the NASCAR championship. So good to have Roger on here. And he says, great show once again. Let's go. I appreciate it, Roger. I appreciate everything you do for the late model community. Troy Ferreira says AJ is top 4 in the 16 car. Yeah, I think AJ Allmendinger is definitely, he's going to be one to reckon with this year. He's a veteran, and I think he's going to be just as hungry as a guy that's like a rookie. So I think AJ Allmendinger is going to be a guy you need to watch this season. So anxious for the racing season. I'm even looking forward to the quarter-mile LA Demolition Derby. Yeah, the Clash of the Coliseum is definitely going to be a demolition derby. I think with more people being locked in, though, the interesting parts of those races were actually the heat races and the qualifiers. Now that they've sort of locked people in and guaranteed them spots, I don't know that the qualifying races will be quite as aggressive, but we'll have to see. Hopefully I eat my words on that one. One wise guy says, any word about the Project 91 racetrack entries or possible drivers for those said tracks? I know there's a lot of people rumored out there that they want to get in there. I'm surprised that they don't have a Daytona 500 entry, but it is Trackhouse, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they've got something up their sleeve, because they're super good at just pulling off surprises that nobody knows about. Like Justin Marks being part of that group that was buying the Cars Tour is a prime example. Like I had actually heard every name. I heard Kevin Harvick and Jr. at the beginning, but I actually did hear Jeff Burton after the fact. But nobody ever had Justin Marks as being part of it. So that's Trackhouse is pretty good at keeping their lips sealed. Uncle Bones with the $3 holler. What's up, Uncle Bones? I appreciate it. That will go straight to the Yugo Fund. Much appreciated, my man. Let's see here. How did Hamlin block? How did Hamlin block from victory celebration? The 24 car. I don't remember that one. I remember he blocked Alex Bowman, the 48 car, at Martinsville. I think it was Martinsville. So I remember that one. I don't remember the 24 car. Douglas Serrano says Kyle Busch getting lots of new sponsors. He's got one new sponsor. I guess they're all new to Kyle Busch, but not for nothing. RCR did have to get those other sponsors to stay on board to sponsor Kyle Busch. So a few people have said RCR only had to go out and get one sponsor. That's not necessarily completely true. And my point with that being, like, they convinced those other sponsors that they already have to keep Kyle, like, to stay on board if they got Kyle Busch, which I don't think personally was a hard sell. That just goes to prove my point that the sponsorship money was out there for Kyle Busch. I just think personally that Joe Gibbs Racing took a look at the landscape and said, hey, we've got this young driver. We're going to have to get rid of one of our veterans eventually. Kyle Busch doesn't have money coming in. Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin still have money coming in. We might as well just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off now. No matter who we get rid of, it's going to be a backlash. So they just made the move to, they get younger, they save money, and the sponsors they coming in, there's probably there's more money coming in, even though it's less money overall, but there's more money coming in to Joe Gibbs Racing because they don't have to pay Ty Gibbs as much money as they pay Kyle Busch. So Joe Gibbs Racing is actually making more money on a less money sponsorship. So all the chips stacked up for Joe Gibbs Racing to go young, and I think it was just a business decision. I don't think there was any hard feelings. I mean, I don't think Kyle Busch necessarily liked it, but I don't think Joe Gibbs went out there and being like, I don't like Kyle Busch. I think he just made a hard business decision. And I say he made this business decision because if you ever watched the NFL, if you ever watched the Washington Redskins, Joe Gibbs made these hard business decisions all the time in the NFL. So it didn't surprise me the way this went down. And that's just the way I see it. I think he decided to get young, and that's the reason that Kyle Busch left. So I think that was more of a deal than anything else. But of course, he's the greatest Toyota driver of all time. So you have to spin it that, hey, we just couldn't get a deal done, right? Like, oh, we couldn't get a deal done. So that's why you have to spin it that way. So I think at the end of the day, it's just a business move. And to just finish that off, I think it's going to work out for both teams. I think it's going to work out for Joe Gibbs Racing. I think it's going to be good for them. And it's definitely going to work out for RCR because they replaced a really good driver with a really good driver. And not only a really good driver, but an all-time great driver in Kyle Busch. So I think it works out for everybody. A lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people were not happy with that opinion on that. But I feel like that's just the way I see it. So that's all I can say. Say Kyle, not Cal. Late to the party. Hamlin, the driver. You can't stand on the track, but love on Twitter. Listening to the podcast for sure. There you go. On the money right there. Say Kyle, not Cal. A lot of people that dislike Denny Hamlin, they love to follow him on Twitter and say everything about, oh, you see what he say on Twitter? So I think that's a nail on the head right there, 100%. Stenhouse was sniffing around SHR before and got no long-term results. Says old home guy. Yeah, I think they do replace Kevin Harvick probably with somewhat of a veteran. I just don't think it's going to be Denny Stenhouse. Camaro 50 says, you are the podcast. I watch BB. I appreciate it, Camaro 50. Doing my best. And one day I might do a real actual podcast, but that's going to be something for in the future. Yeah. So there you go. That's a poll. Do you want to see a podcast? There we go. I could definitely talk. I could talk to some of the short track guys around here and some of the people in the game. So let's see here. Where is Cole Custer going to go now? Says Douglas Serrano. That's a good question. He's got a year to prove himself in the Xfinity Series or Busch Series. So he's got a year to prove himself that way. And he also, can get another seat that opens up. I feel like there's going to be a rule domino effect. Somebody is going to have to leave somewhere. Here's the name I'm looking at. Okay, and this might sound crazy to people. Here's the name I'm looking at to replace Kevin Harvick. And Bumblebee says it's time to eat. She'll check you later. So thanks for hanging out with us, Bumblebee. Enjoy your dinner. So here's the crazy name that I'm going to throw out there. Here's what I'm thinking will happen. I think Ryan Blaney is the person that fills that seat over there in the 4-car. And yes, I know he's under contract with Penske, but contracts can be bought out. Here's my thinking. We've seen multiple times Ryan Blaney not be happy with Penske, thinking he's not the number one driver. And he obviously, of course, knows he's not the number one driver over there at Penske. It's going to be Joey Logano. And the interesting thing about that is they're only 3 or 4 years age difference between Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano. So do you want to wait your entire career to be the number one guy over there? Or, do you want to, at some point, go be the number one guy over at Stewart-Haas Racing? And not only that, but you got the young Austin Cindric, who's a young, hungry driver nipping at your heels. It's nothing but a pressure cooker over there at Penske, and it always has been. And there's nothing wrong with that. Iron sharpens iron. But at the same time, do you, at least from Ryan Blaney's perspective, I'm not saying this is the way it is. If Ryan Blaney thinks this, and he's made some comments in the past, and they were in the heat of battle, so take that for what it is. But if you feel like you're getting the second best equipment at Penske, why not go over to Stewart-Haas Racing and be the number one driver over there and get the best equipment over there? So I think you could see something crazy like that happening. Now, I haven't heard anything about that. That's just me thinking out loud. It would not surprise me to see Ryan Blaney go over there and drive that 4-car when it's all said and done. And then when the chips fall where they may, you'll see all these other drivers within the Ford ranks go sort of do what they're going to do. Mark Langer says, got to go. Good luck. All right, thanks for hanging out with us. Mark, let's see here. Old Home Guy says, there's more video games than Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt was a timer, man. No doubt about that. Travis Pastrana should give Pikes Peak Hill Climb a shot. Perfect run for a maniac like him. No fear. Yeah, he might have done Pikes Peak before, but if he hasn't, he's definitely one of those guys up there that I would expect needs to do it. Mark Bonham says, watched Monday Night Racing on Eric's channel, and they posted the winner in the standings 20 laps before the race. So that's sort of the problem with the chat sometimes. The chat is a little bit faster than the video. Molten Rage says, never mind, the news was fake. Of course, someone's was trolling on Twitter. My bad, baloney. It was a fake Bob Pockrass account. Oh no, we got by a fake Bob Pockrass account. That's what I'm saying. You gotta be careful with that stuff. It happens to the best of us, man. It happens to the best of us. So no Casey Kane to the Truck Series. That was not an actual report. Rodney Collier says, I'm going to listen. Sorry, buddy. So there you go. Rodney is going to listen. I think he meant to say he's not going to listen. No problem with that. Don't worry. I'll hit the highlights for you. I don't even listen to the full Dale Jr. podcast. I just catch the clips on YouTube. Same thing I do with the Joe Rogan podcast. I just catch the clips. And if the clips are really good, I'll listen to the whole thing when I got a long drive somewhere or something like that. Molten Rage says, I hate when people are impersonating reporters. Yeah, it stinks. It stinks. That's part of the deal, though. It's going to be a demolition derby with 27 cars on the track. There is no way that's going to end well for the leader. 100%. Project 91 will also not compete in the Daytona 500. So that's a car out of the question. That basically means Helio is going to drive the 50s. There you go. Old Home Guy says, does Justin Marks qualify for the Does Justin Marks qualify to race the Project 91 car? Yeah, he does. You can drive your own car. There's no problem with that. And he is previously NASCAR licensed, so that gets around that. Have you heard anything about Brandon Brown for 23? Only that he's selling off equipment, so it's not looking good over there. Troy Ferreira says, money. D. Moran, a Bush Brothers podcast would be fun. Oh man, that would be an all-timer. Like when they both retire, that would be the absolute best. Casey Kane needs to put Lane Riggs in a truck. So there you go. The Casey Kane truck thing is not factual, but Lane Riggs to the trucks, he's going to drive for Stuart Friesen. They're just trying to finalize the details on the funding. Basically, if he can get the funding, he's good to go for Stuart Friesen, Halmar Friesen over there. So that's where Lane Riggs is going to be next season if they get the the funding in order. Was the rumor on Twitter or rumor on the street. Let's see. Joseph Marigliano says, have you heard anything about Myatt Snyder as well for 2023? Have you heard anything about Myatt Snyder as well for 2023? I have not heard anything official from Myatt Snyder, but I do think he will be racing somewhere. So stay tuned. I think they will probably announce that at some point. What are the chances someone rides the wall for a win at the Coliseum? Strong. I think somebody does try to do something crazy like that. No doubt about it, Timber Ace. Camaro 50, I would watch the Bush brothers do a podcast. I think a lot of people would. Coach Gibbs screwing over another driver. I laughed when I heard Brandon Jones and Chandler Smith said bye before Gibbs could boot them down the road, says Cassandra Keller. So yeah, that brings up my point. Like a lot of people see that as Joe Gibbs, in Cassandra's words, screwing over a driver. To me, he's just making a business decision. He's like, put this person in here. He's one of the few people that can actually run his cup car as a business because they got that much money coming in. He's sliding people around to try to make the most money, and not only make the most money, but make the most money for 10 years. So the decisions he's making are decisions that are sort of 10 years in the future. So sometimes when he gets off of an old driver, like we've seen in the past, or gets off of a new driver, like we've seen in the past, that's because he's happy with his lineup and he sees that lineup going for 10 years. Sometimes when he gets rid of an old driver, like we've seen with Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth, drivers like that, when he gets off of those drivers, it's because he doesn't think they have anything, in my opinion, left to give compared to who he's bringing in. Now, I wanted to be very clear about that, compared to who he's bringing in. So who he's bringing in this situation, Ty Gibbs, you pay him less and you make more money with less money coming in. So Joe Gibbs is making more money with a lower amount of sponsor money coming in. So I think that was a huge part of the Ty Gibbs going younger for Kyle Busch instead of re-signing Kyle Busch. And it also sets you up for, 15 or 20 years, however long Ty Gibbs' career is going to be, right? You don't have to where Kyle Busch, I think maybe what does Kyle Busch drive for? Another 6 or 8 years? So you might get 6 or 8 years where you got 15 to 20. So there you go. And plus it's his grandson. So, I mean, you can't really hate on that. If you've got a child or a grandchild, you do anything in the world to help them, I would imagine. So you got to factor that in as well. I'd watch the Busch. Molten Ray says Blaney is never leaving Penske. People need to stop thinking he will. He is a Penske guy at heart, and that is never going to happen. Blaney will probably stay there until he retires. So there you go. I don't know. I don't know about all that. Things change. Penske's another one that'll cut you real quick and in a hurry. So he might want to stay at Penske for his whole career, but Penske might not want him to stay. He might pull the deal he did with Brad, where he's like, yeah, you can stay, but you're going to take a significant pay cut. So in that situation, Brad Keselowski said, I'll just go over here and buy in with this other team. In that case, the team was RFK. So things change. Everybody wants to be a lifer, but then things change. So we'll see. NASCAR just announced that the top 3 finishers in the class will be rewarded with medals. That's pretty cool. Looks like podium finish. They actually used to do that back in the day, if you guys remember. Looks like the podium finishes are beginning to have recognitions like F1. So there you go. That's pretty cool. NASCAR did used to do that back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I had a fever dream or something, but I think NASCAR actually did used to give away medals. Cassandra Keller said, I would not blame Blaney if he left. His teammates don't do him any favors. So yeah, he's complained multiple times about the teammates. And Austin Cindric and Joey Logano get along, according to people I know that follow Penske closely. They get along a lot better than Ryan Blaney has gotten along with them. Like, I don't know. This is just what people tell me. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him. And just from the aspect of you are the number 1 driver, if you go to Stewart-Haas Racing, you're going to get all the best stuff. And people can say all they want to that everybody gets the same stuff. No, they don't. Let me just end that one right then and there. If 2 drivers are in the playoffs and 2 other drivers aren't in the playoffs, where do you think all the good equipment's going? So we'll just put it to you that way. If one driver is bringing in $100 million and another driver is bringing in $5 million, guess where all the best stuff is going? Like that. I'm just keeping it real with you. Let's see. I see Zane Smith going to SHR. I think he's definitely a candidate, Mark Barnum. 100%. He's definitely a candidate. No doubt about that. It just wouldn't surprise me to see somebody like Blaney, like we've seen Stewart-Haas Racing. They like veterans, so it wouldn't surprise me to see them go out and get a veteran and shake things up a little bit. They should get you on door bumper clear, taking fireball shots to prep for your first podcast. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Pretty sure door bumper clear has no idea who I am, so I don't know if that'll ever happen. Let's see here. I wish it was real because I would have loved to see Casey Kane return back to NASCAR. I really would. Yeah, I think he's done. I think he did everything he wanted to do in NASCAR, and he's just he's on to the next phase, and he likes dirt racing, so nothing wrong with that. I see Jones going with SHR with Ream money, so that's another one you hear a lot. You hear Eric Jones, and you also hear Brandon Jones going over to Stewart-Haas Racing. So it wouldn't surprise me either way. But yeah, Brandon Jones would make sense over there. The people talking about Eric Jones going over there, I think Petty GMS is going to lock Eric Jones down for an extended period of time now that he's getting wins over there, and now that they've got their equipment back up to snuff, so to speak. My leg is itching today. I got a scab. I knocked it off, and now the scab's trying to peel, and it's itching like crazy. Mark Barnum said, I saw that Hill is only running one truck race this year and splitting the races with the Hill brothers. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wish he would do more truck races, and I would love to see him get an actual Cup chance because I think he's a pretty good driver. But it is what it is. Troy Ferreira says, Kurt Busch health. Yeah, so if Kurt Busch can get healthy, the CEO, the guy that runs 2311, has already come out and said that if he gets healthy and he's approved by NASCAR, they would have no problem giving him some one-off races in basically that number 67 that Travis Pastrana's running. And in a situation like that, I think NASCAR would look the other way, and they'd actually let him run the 45, and they would continue to give owner points to the 67. Because I would love to see if Kurt Busch even though he's not really associated with the number, I'd love to see Kurt Busch come back and run that 45 a few more times to get to go out properly, like the way he probably wants to go out. On your Ryan Blaney theory, I think that's a stretch. I'm going to say he has the same equipment as Joey. At this point, Stewart-Haas would be a downgrade. Yeah, that's fine. A lot of people think that, and I totally understand what you're saying there. But I think you're better off being the number one driver anywhere than you are being the number two driver anywhere. And not everybody sees it that way, but I've always thought that Penske has a clear pecking order. I've always thought that Joe Gibbs Racing has a clear pecking order. And I've always thought that Hendrick Motorsports has a clear pecking order. Although it's not as clear as it once was, I think they've got two number ones over at Hendrick right now. So it is what it is. Why did the horsepower NASCAR Collector 23? But not everybody feels that way. So I understand where you're coming from, Don. And nobody's right or wrong. We're just giving our opinion. So a NASCAR Collector 23, why did the horsepower go down half in 2021? In 2022, I feel like it's harder for drivers to get big runs as they usually do at super speedways. So the short answer to that is NASCAR started cutting the horsepower to make it more attractive for other manufacturers to come into the sport. So that is the main reason they cut down on the horsepower, because lower horsepower means engines are typically more reliable. So that's the short answer to that. The long answer to that is far more technical, and I don't know if anybody would sit long enough to hear that. But it basically all this started when Toyota came into the sport and they were blowing up motors. And Toyota basically told NASCAR, if you want other manufacturers to come into the sport, you need to make an engine rules package where everybody can compete. And that's when the horsepower started going down lower and lower. You can look that up. That's actual facts. That's not me just pulling something out of my butt. So it started with Toyota when they came into the series and were blowing all those motors early on. Sonny V says you can do a live reaction live stream during some of the races this season. Maybe we'll have to check that out. T Van says I think SHR should try to get John Hunter Nemechek. He'd be another good one to put in there. I don't feel like he's super. He's sort of a Toyota driver, but I don't feel like he's as locked in as some of the other drivers. So that would be an interesting one to get. There's tons of guys they could pull from over there too. Like whoever they go with between Sammy Smith, Corey Heim, and John Hunter Nemechek, one of those guys is going to get left out, right? So if you're Stewart-Haas, just try to grab the other one. Douglas Serrano says 1 more month until Daytona. So there you go, 1 more month, 1 month away. Duke Chronic says Ryan Blaney seems to be friends with other drivers and not his own team. I feel like that's a fair enough statement. In my opinion. That's the way I see it too, Duke. So, but not everybody sees it the same way I see it. So it is what it is. I'm just the outside looking in, and I'm just looking at the interviews and his body language and his facial expressions. I could be totally wrong. Kevin for the win. Harvick is by far my favorite driver, but I've always liked Blaney and could see him join SHR. Yeah, I don't think it's the most craziest thing that could ever happen. And I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying I could see that being a situation that could possibly happen. I hope they can become the 2014 Stewart-Haas racing again this year and beyond. Or what was it, 2019 or 2018, whatever year that he won 10 races. That'd be a good Stewart-Haas to go to as well. Brandon Jones going to Cup, I would lose my insanity. It's already insanity that he's going to the 9 after doing almost nothing in JGR equipment, and now he's going to a better team undeserved. First off, Molden, I don't know about all that. Joe Gibbs Racing has probably the best Xfinity Series team out there. They just won the championship. Brandon Jones has made the playoffs just about every year he's been with JGR, so I don't know. I feel like he's gotten better and better every single year he's been down there, so I don't know. Is he the best driver out there? No, but I think he's done enough to be with a good team, in my opinion. Duke Chronic says Rick Hendrick championships. It's not even close with any other team. Yeah, like Hendrick's awesome. They're a juggernaut. Joe Gibbs Racing's a juggernaut too. They just haven't been around as long as Hendrick has. And basically, they were a Hendrick affiliate team, and that's how they got to be as good as they are. They just hired away a bunch of old Hendrick talent. That's actually been their key to success. They know how to hire good guys. Old Home Guy says NASCAR owns the Pinty Series. It does own the Pinty Series for sure, or Pinty Series, Pinty Series, I think. NASCAR Collector, okay. T-Van says I want to see Johnny Benson and Mike Skinner run SRX. That would be cool. Johnny Benson, big pull up north still. He would be a good pick for that. And Mike Skinner, if they ever go back to when they go back to Five Flags, that would be a good track for Mike Skinner for sure. He's the man at Five Flags from what I hear. Molten Rage says Brandon Jones is a paid driver with some talent. I said some, not a lot, but still some kind of a bust for Xfinity. He should be doing better than he is doing now. I mean, he's winning races and going to the playoffs. I don't know what else you can do. If he hadn't been wrecked by his teammate, he would have made the Final Four last year, and then who knows what would have happened. Old Home Guy says, I thought NASCAR was wearing flame-proof underwear and socks already, says Old Home Guy. So there you go. In case you haven't seen this story, go ahead and call this the Noah Gragson rule, because that's who brought out this penalty or this new change to the rules. In the NASCAR rule book, it used to say underwear are recommended but not required. So last year, Noah Gragson was pulling his best Tim Richmond impression and showing off some hamburger meat, showing off some chest. And apparently he showed off too much chest, because now underwear is mandatory underneath the fire suit. So there you go. Call it the Noah Gragson rule. Call it the Tim Richmond rule. If you know about the poster, you know about the poster. So you can call it either the Tim Richmond rule or the Noah Gragson rule, but he will be having to wear his Nomex underneath his Nomex now. So Noah Gragson has been forced to wear underwear. So there you go. Mark Wachowski says horsepower is good, but a driver setup is equal. It takes all three to go fast and handle well. I agree 100%. Like there's no everybody's like, oh, this guy paid all this money, that's the only reason he's in the car. Well, if that guy pays money and starts winning races, that means he's at least got some talent. So I've never been a big on that. Like if a guy wins races, he's got my respect. I don't care what he's driving in. Chrome Diesel, with the new season ahead, we'll be interested to see where ratings and viewerships go. I agree. Blaney looks like a future Hendrick driver, says Escobar. That's not necessarily out of the question too. I feel like Alex Bowman is on the hot seat every year, and all he does is win races. So that's one I don't understand either. So Douglas Serrano says the Truck Series, I think both Hocevar and Di Benedetto will step it up this season coming up. Yeah, I think so too. I think they're going to be definite championship contenders. That's going to be a fun series to watch. Rajak Ruth in there. He's also going to be another young rookie to watch in that series. Him and Lane Riggs, if they get the sponsorship deal figured out with Halmar Friesen. D. Moran says 67. How did they get that number? 23 plus 5 minus 1. I guess. I don't know. I don't know how they. I don't know what the iteration behind that was. They haven't come out and said, what are your predictions for this year's Daytona race coming up in a few weeks? I got Kyle Busch winning. As long as he's with RCR, I'm going to pick him to win until he gets that first win. I just think RCR makes good plate track cars, and Kyle Busch is going to be hungry to get a Daytona 500. So I think eventually they'll get it figured out. So I'm just going to pick him every year, and that's who I think is going to win. A lot of people think that Eric Jones is going to be another one that a lot of people, I'm just picking wild cards here. Austin Dillon's always a wild card there. Bubba Wallace, always a wild card. He's really good at plate tracks when he finishes. Denny Hamlin, not a wild card. He's the best plate racer right now. Ryan Blaney, I think, is also one of the best plate track racers right now. So those would be in the mix. But I'm picking Kyle Busch to get the win. And every once in a while, lightning strikes. So don't sleep on Kyle Larson. The smart money is always on young money. Yeah, there you go. I had to go. Kyle Larson fanboy. Sorry, I apologize. Let's see. Matty D and Hocevar. Mark Barnes says Matty D and Hocevar and Deegan will step it up. I think so too. But step it up, Douglas. But Zane Smith will win it all again. Yeah, I mean Zane Smith has to be your odds-on favorite, right? He's getting it done, and he knows how to get it done. So I mean, it's hard to pull against him. Let's see here. Brandon Jones just disappointing. Like not a bad driver. He just hasn't really done anything notable. Okay, he wins the race. He makes the playoffs. He's expected in JGR, but after that, nothing on his resume. I mean, to me, he is like he's like Daniel Hemrick, except he wins races. He's just really consistent, except he wins more races than Daniel Hemrick. Daniel Hemrick, I think, will start putting some wins together, but I've been saying that for too long now, so I don't know. They're just super consistent drivers that get wins here and there. So that's the way I see Brandon Jones, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different style of racing, and I don't have a problem with it. Let's see here. Duke Chronic says Junior didn't wear gloves in practice and got in trouble. Yeah, so Junior, he used to do stuff like that all the time, and then after he got burned up in that Corvette wreck, he started taking the safety way more seriously. Uncle Bones 2 says only a fool would not wear underwear. I agree with you, but you can't. You're only young once, and you can't. You can tell young people stuff all you want to, but they at the end of the day, they're gonna do what they want to do because they're young, and that's how everybody learns the hard way sometimes on some things. So Noah Gregson's wild and free, so he was wild and free, and NASCAR decided we're not going to let you be wild and free anymore. We're trying to save you from yourself. Carson Hocevar is a driver. I think he should be watching the Truck Series. I think he will step it up. I don't think he's going to win a race next year, but I think he will show that he's a good driver. Yeah, I think Hocevar is going to be good. So he'll just continue to mature, and hopefully Brett Griffin continues to mature and stops taking pot shots at him every time he does something wrong. So that's somebody else. I'd like to see Brett Griffin mature as well. Old Home Guy says, who's going to be the crew chief for the 84? I don't know. I think they have announced it, but I can't call it off the top of my head, but they might not have announced it. Duke Chronic says, I'm going to be for Kyle. So there you go. Another Kyle Busch pick there. Moulton is drinking in the Jones Haterade. Let's see how he does in junior equipment this year. Says Camaro 50. There you go. That's going to be the poll to watch there. Who does better, Cole Custer or Brandon Jones? That's going to be what we watch from here on out in the Xfinity Series. How long? That sounds like a poll. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. Looks like solidly a lot of people would like to see a podcast at some point. So there we go. Oops. Who finishes higher in points? There we go. We now have another poll. Uh-oh, 50-50 right now. So, all right, we'll have to see how this one plays out. Let's see here. How long do you think Kyle B will stay positive if he and RCR struggles early in the season? He's going to complain about the car not handling perfectly. That's just who Kyle Busch is. And don't get me wrong, they've dealt with that before. But he's in a different situation. These guys will complain back. So that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch as well. Let's see here. I'm still going to 6 Daytona 500, 6 for the Daytona 500. Brad Keselowski for the Daytona 500. And Eric Jones to win the points championship. So there you go. Old home guy putting it out there. Aggressive picks, and I like them. I think they're two solid picks, too. Let's see here. Molten Rage says, I don't hate Brandon Jones. Camaro 50, I'm just critical of his kind of underperformance at JGR, and he's going to better equipment. How is that fair? I just don't see where it's really better equipment, though, in my opinion. Wretched Rob, what's up, man? He said, my wife ordered SRX tickets today. There you go. That's awesome. SRX is a great series to watch. It's one of the best ones you can watch out there, in my opinion. So I think you definitely got your good bang for your buck there. David McSwain says, hey, Mr. BB, damn, my real initials. Do you see? I do see you often. What's up? I agree. Some. Better get some more equipment for real racing. There you go. What's up, David? Always good to have you on here, my man. So yeah, I think we definitely would be. What's the best way to put this? I think the fans would get a better bang for the buck with more drivers out there with the SRX deal. 100%, 100% agree with you on that one. Chrome Diesel says, with the Clash not in Daytona anymore, seems like a chance for Daytona to triple. Daytona triple wins are gone forever. Yeah, that kind of stinks. Like, it was always cool when you saw somebody dominate the weekend with a chance to go for the triple. Dale Earnhardt pulled off the double a whole lot of times. And you always wanted to see him if he could pull off the triple. I think Jeff Gordon pulled off the triple one time. I think he did the duels. He won the duel, he won the Clash, and he won the 500. So it was always a cool thing to watch. NASCAR Collector says, I hope the 2 and the 6 aren't aggressive in the 500 this year like they were last year. Yeah, I hopefully there's no there's no like unnecessary wrecks. I guess I was looking for a way to put that, but I couldn't think of a clever way to put that. Yeah, hopefully they don't just wreck people out. Like they were hyper aggressive last year. I think Brad Keselowski has done proving his point now. I think now that he pays the bills, I think he'll chill quite a bit in plate racing. Because you saw it in Talladega and stuff like that. Brad Keselowski, he kind of chilled out in the other plate races. We'll see how Brandon Jones does over at JRM. Way better, says Cassandra Keller. So there you go. A lot of people predicting he'll do better over there. Mark Barnum, thank her for me. Wretched, does she need my address to send them to? LOL. So there you go. Wretched Rob laughing back at Mark Barnum there. Duke Chronic says Tuesday is going to be Tuesday is a good night to do a podcast. So if I do a podcast, it would just be pre-recorded. I wouldn't do it live because my ADD wouldn't handle that. I wouldn't be able to like think of the questions I'm asking him and then read the comments. So it would be pre-recorded. But I could drop it on Tuesday nights for sure. Or think of a cooler way to do it. I might could drop it as a live stream pre-recorded and then answer the questions down here. I might figure out a way to do that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see going forward. Me doing a podcast is something way in the future. As of right now, I'm just one dude. So, and this is going to be a lot, especially once racing season starts. But I do think we can get something figured out. There's a few things I'd like to get going because I'd like to get some attention to some of the late model guys, 100% for sure. And then obviously, I would try to branch out as much as possible, get as many different disciplines as I could talk to. And I would have to have somebody organize that for me because I can't be on the phone all day with what I do. Tracking people down and trying to figure out dates. So anyways, we'll try to get it figured out in the future, though. I'm sorry, there's no way Brandon Jones is going to somehow beat the veteran and honestly better driver, Cole Custer. There is no way I would lose my insanity before that happens. You would lose your sanity. If you lose your insanity, you would become sane. So I don't know. Let's see here. Casey, dude, I'm here for it. Less than 3 weeks to the Clash. Yeah, the Clash is going to be wide open. Custer wins the championship. Allgaier needs to retire, says Casey. So there you go. There you go. Got another vote for Custer there, Moulton, from Casey. So there you go. I think Cole Custer is definitely a threat for the championship. But I think Brandon Brown's a threat for the championship, too. Don't sleep on Brandon Brown. People have been sleeping on him his whole career. Say Kyle, not Cal. Don't sleep on the 24 at Daytona. Oh, no doubt. It's checkers of records for Willie B on the super speedways. Yeah, you never count out fast Willie B. Just when you count him out, that's when he shows up and wins. Monray says, how is 63% people vote Jones over Custer? I think because they're trolling you, Molten. That ain't right. There is no way someone has the mental capacity to say that Jones is going to be better than Custer. There's no legitimate way. But he might be in a better car. He might have a better crew chief. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. William Wagaman says, when there's 24 hours, when does the 24 hours of Daytona start? I think it starts a little bit before noon. I think they normally start it at 11 a.m., but I could be wrong about that. But I think it starts at like maybe like 11 a.m., but it could start at 2 because I feel like it ends at like 2:30 or 3 o'clock. So somewhere in there. But for whatever reason, I'm thinking 11 a.m., but I think now that I think about it, it ends at 2:30. So maybe 2:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. Greg Brown says, let's have a BB grandstand. You know what? I think it's 2 o'clock, and I think the reason I'm thinking 11 o'clock is because for whatever reason on my phone, it always shows everything in West Coast time. So I think 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 11 o'clock West Coast. If you're in the United States, I'm not good enough to call it for other time zone regions. Sorry, I wish I was better. Let's have a BB grandstand for SRX at Sobo. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. They've got some, and the reason I say that is, man, they've got some legends up in those grandstands. My name will not ever be. I'm not old enough to ever get my name up there. Let's just be real about that one. Peyton Sellers will be Peyton Sellers is up there, so never mind. I think we've seen, as far as the recent ones, I think we're seeing all the recent ones we're going to see. Duke Chronic says they should have a Daytona Clash. It's a bonus. I'm with you, man. 2 clashes would be awesome. They need to do a double clash. We need double clash, 100%. I'm going to end this poll at 71% for Jones because I feel like that's where it's going to end. And we're going to do one more quick poll before we get off here, starting a poll. There we go. We got a double poll now for the double clash. Do you want to see a double clash? Do you want to see 2 clashes or do you want to see 1 clash? So far, we're at 90% for double clash. Let's see. Do you think the duels are going to be crazy this year, given the fact that a lot of people are going to try and race their way in to the field? I think it's a good chance that we get some pretty wide open duels. I think it's the best chance we've had in a long time to have duels where people don't just lay back and try to get like 18th because they know they transfer with 18th. So, yeah, I think that would be cool. Danny and Gray's Cards and Toys. What's up, Danny? Good to see you on here. Fist bump back to you, buddy. Molten Ray says the 64%. It ended up being 70, Molten. Voting for Jones is like voting for Chase Elliott over Jimmy Johnson on who's the better driver, says Molten. So Molten is now trolling back. He's fighting back for his man, his boo thing, Cole Custer. Mark Wachowski says Daytona picks number 8, number 22, and number 17. So I like it. That's a solid pick. I like the Kyle Busch pick. Joey Logano, you never count him out. And Chris Buescher. A lot of people sleep on Chris Buescher. He's the Brandon Jones of the Cup Series. People just sleep on him and never really give him his due, in my opinion. So NASCAR Collector 23 should an unlimited come back to Daytona. I don't know. Like, they obviously couldn't race him like that, but should they try to basically what he's saying is take the governor off the car and see how fast one of these cars can go around Daytona. I think if you could build the motor up, yeah, I'd like to see it just to do sort of a time test. That would be pretty cool. I would like to see it tried one time. Yeah, I'd like to see it. Kevin for the win says Brad and Joey tend to make terrible blocks. Wrecks and super speedways. Unfortunately, it's paid off at times. Yeah, so that's part of the deal, right? Let's go back to I think it was Charlotte. Austin Dillon makes the move at the Charlotte at the Coke 600. If he has a half a foot more, Austin Dillon is an absolute hero. But he didn't have half a foot more, and he causes a huge wreck. So everybody was complaining that Austin Dillon was too aggressive in that. It's the same thing with Brad and Joey. When the moves work, everybody's like, oh my goodness, look at that. That was a crazy move. It's going to work out for him. When the moves don't work, you're a menace. So you go from either hero to menace. It just depends on if the move pays off and works. Say Kyle Not Cow. Looks like Jeff Gordon won all three in '97, unless Google is lying to me. You never know with Google. You gotta test it. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, I remember him winning all three because I remember being a salty Earnhardt fan about it. I was like, daggone it. But luckily it was '97, and in '98, the man won finally the Daytona 500. So that was I only had to take that salt for 1 year before Earnhardt finally won, because I was so mad. I was like, daggum, Jeff Gordon won everything at Daytona this year. Earnhardt didn't win a single thing. But luckily the next year Earnhardt got his. But yeah, Jeff Gordon, underrated at Daytona. He was one of the as they say, goats of Daytona. He's underrated at Daytona. He was really good there as well. The goat of all goats at Daytona, of course, though, was Richard Petty with 7 Daytona 500s. D. Moran, I'm okay with a stadium-style clash. Just move it to different stadiums every year. I think so too. That'd be the move. And that's the same thing with Chicago street race. Just move it around if they're going to be sticking with street racing, which we're pretty sure they're going to stick with street racing. Just move the street race around. I think that's the best move. Old Home Guy says, podcast live when you find the Earnhardt Yugo. Yep, I do have a name for the Yugo, so that's I do already have that. It is going to be themed, and there will be since we're basically I've already leaked what we're going to do with it. Since it's basically going to be a rally car, there will be a Ken Block tribute on it as well, but that will not factor into the name. I've already named it. I just have to find it and buy it. Wretched Rob says, who starts the first big controversy of the 23 Cup season? Oh, I think it's already started with Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick and Joe Gibbs Racing. I think that's going to be something that people watch. So I think that's going to be something people follow all season. And even if they probably don't have any actual bad feelings toward each other, but I think the media is going to spin it up and make it as big as they can make it. So I think that'll be the big one. Duke Chronics, and even a bigger, probably the biggest dust up is going to be the owners versus NASCAR over TV money. That's probably the biggest controversy that's already started in 2023. It's already started. The owners versus NASCAR. That's going to be it. Let's see. Duke Chronic says, see guys tape something and premiere it with chat live. Yeah. I'm thinking about doing that, Duke, for sure. That way, like, I could answer your questions down here while it's going live, and then the pre-recorded deal is going basically streaming live, but it's pre-recorded. We have the technology. We can make it happen. I can do that. I just have to get it plugged up. So actually, some of these can actually be better too. I've just got to find time to test it out. I guess make a burner channel to test it out, because I don't want to test it out on this channel. But I don't know. I can test it out on this channel. I guess it wouldn't be that big of a deal. It would just be the most boring live stream I've ever done. Hey, we're testing stuff. Let's see. Kevin for the win. I would have picked Jones if Custer didn't win Xfinity last year. There you go. So there you go. I think Custer is going to be solid, but I do think Brandon Jones is somebody that people sleep on because they just see him as a paid driver. I think he's actually a driver that has gotten better and better and better. You Eastern or Central time zone? Where I live at is Eastern time zone. No doubt about it, Old Home Guy. I'm an Eastern EST. I'm an Eastern Standard Time guy. Aaron Flynn says, who's the one getting the best at JRM? That brings the big bucks, the 7 or the 9. I think Josh Berry is the better driver, but who's actually bringing in the more money would probably be Brandon Jones, if I had to guess. But Justin Allgaier, AJ Allgaier. We have now created a new hybrid driver, AJ Allgaier. Justin Allgaier brings in a ton of money too, so flip a coin on that one. Moulton says 71% of people would say Chase Elliott is better than Jimmy Johnson. LOL. So there you go. Chaffee City, USA. I'm in Chinese. What time zone is that? So, yeah, I don't know. So sometimes basically if you set your VPN, you'll get these random time zones. So I think the VPN plays into it as well. So that might be why you're on Chinese time too. If you're messing with a VPN. Why doesn't the Xfinity Series have duels like they do in Cup? That's a good question. It would make it really cool. Kevin for the win says double clash all the way. Molten Rage says no. Double for sure. Says son, I've lost my spot. Oh, double for sure on the clashes, says NASCAR Collector 23. Richard Rob said having two makes it less special. Yeah, that's true. But it would be two totally different tracks. And Daytona will always be special. So you would have the Clash, and then you would have the Daytona Clash. So that way you always get a Daytona Clash, and it gives NASCAR more dates to sell tickets to without stressing out the drivers. So I don't know. It could work, but they'll never do it. It's just fun to talk about. T-Van says, I've never been a Kyle Busch fan, but I'm rooting for him in the 8 car. I want him to make Gibbs regret his decision. I think Joe Gibbs is worried about that. I think he's worried about Kyle Busch coming out there and just finishing his career sort of with a chip on his shoulder, just like Kevin Harvick when he went over to Stewart-Haas Racing. It reinvigorated his career. And we could see a situation like that with Kyle Busch where he just he probably was taking a lot of things for granted, and probably when he left that ride, he probably doesn't take anything for granted now, and you're probably going to see a laser-focused Kyle Busch, in my opinion. Greg Brown says, no, we need 2 at Daytona, so there you go. Donnie Love says, amen, T-Van. Douglas Serrano says, double clash, please. Cassandra Keller says, Molten, did you have a bad? So sorry. We still love you, though, so there you go. We still love you, Molten. Daytona pick for him is the Daytona. He's going with the 31. So Justin Haley. He's going with the 41 of Ryan Preece, 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and the 15 of David Reagan, and going with the 34 of Michael McDowell. So there you go. And should we just put a 36 in there for, or maybe the 38 for Gilliland and the 36 for who's driving the 36? Zane Smith. So there you go. Chrome Diesel Clash back at Daytona, 20-lap sprint, previous season pole winners only. That's one thing I would like to see. Only pole winners are in the Clash. That's one thing I would like to see. That way, if you have 2 clashes, you can do one where it's only pole winners and another clash where NASCAR does its hybrid system like they do at the LA Coliseum. That would be pretty cool. Donnie Love's going with the 8 to win at Daytona, so that's good. Going with a Kyle Busch win at Daytona like I am. I agree 100%. Chrome Diesel says William Wagaman. Mark Barnum says, how many laps before Ross wrecks Hamlin at Daytona? Oh God, if that happens, here we go again. We'll definitely know what the first topic on Denny Hamlin's podcast will be. Donnie Love, LOL at Mark. NASCAR Collector, who do you think is gonna cause the big one at Daytona? I'm just going to go with the odds and say either Brad Keselowski or Ricky Stenhouse. So I'm going to play the odds there. William Wagaman says NASCAR Collector 23. He's going with Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace does wreck at plate tracks, but he is yet to cause the big one. So he might be due. He either wrecks or wins, or finishes well at restrictor plate tracks. T-Van says street racing is not going to work in NASCAR. And I don't think it works for any sport, to be honest with you. With the exception of Le Mans, and that's only partially street, especially trying to start it in Beetlejuice's city. Beetlejuice. That's a great movie. So yeah, for sure. Old Home Guy says Toyota fails inspection first 2023 controversy. Whoever fails inspection first is definitely going to be the first controversy. So I think you're actually onto something there. What's going on with Trevor Bain? That's Flyaway Duck Club says that's a good question. Hopefully he can get a new ride. And Douglas Serrano says Trevor Bain get a new ride yet? I don't know. Hopefully he is one of those guys driving the All-Star car for Gibbs in the Xfinity Series. Mulray says Reagan was blessed last year at Daytona. He missed so many wrecks that could have been involved in. And the only wreck he was involved in, literally the last one caused by Brad coming to the line. So there you go. He gets it done at restrictor plate tracks. There's no doubt about that. Old Home Guy says have the clash in the middle of the season. There you go. You could do 2 of them that way. That would be pretty cool. But they sort of have an all-star race at the middle of the season, so I don't know. But you could sort of break it up where you've got a clash at the beginning at Daytona, then you've got the all-star race in the middle. Then maybe give them an off week before the playoffs start, and you could have a clash there. In that situation, you could have 2 clashes, and they would all make sense and get big draws. William Wagner says, are the bodies for the cars of the street race going to be made out of carbon fiber, so the pew-pews do not penetrate them on the street course in Chicago. The carbon fiber actually wouldn't stop that. You would need Kevlar, but even the Kevlar has to have a plate behind it. So you would have to look at a Kevlar with a plate situation in that particular deal. I'm being funny, so or funny for me. There you go. David Reagan literally would have been demos clean the car in the 500 last year if he was not wrecked coming to the line, because Brad for some reason turns McDowell into half the field coming to the line. Brad Keselowski gonna do what Brad Keselowski gonna do. That's all I can tell you about that one. He was trying to win that race, man. Or trying to win the 6th place battle. NASCAR Collector 23. NASCAR should make the teams able to lower the cars down to the ground to increase speed, just like in 2018. Definitely for the short tracks, NASCAR Collector. That's what they're missing at the short tracks, in my opinion. And that's not just my opinion. There's other people that know more than me. They'll forget more than I ever know, and they're saying the same thing. T-Van says Dinger is winning the 500s. There you go. Don't forget AJ Allmendinger and Colleague are really good at restrictor plate tracks, super speedways, whatever you want to call them. Kevin for the win. Do you participate in the Pick 5 contest on Righteous Rednecks YouTube channel? I do not. I don't even I don't even know who they are, so I'm gonna have to look that one up. So I have to check that one out. Molten Rage, Mike Joy, 2022 Daytona 500 finish. I like their name though, Righteous Rednecks. That wreck coming, that's a catchy name, coming to the line, and David Reagan found he could not avoid. Yeah. Let's see here. Mark Wachowski, if you pass inspection, you didn't get caught. Yeah, that's there you go. You tell them, Mark. Yeah, as long as you pass inspection, you weren't cheating, even if you were. Don, you only get penalized for what they catch. Donnie Love, if we go off history for causing the big one at Daytona, Joey Logano, yeah, that's fair, but he also finishes well there too. He's got he's aggressive. Ryan Blaney's aggressive. And what's interesting about them two, they're aggressive, but the way they go about being aggressive, it never hurts them. It only hurts the people behind them. So they're aggressive in a smart way, in my opinion. So actually, I don't mind them being aggressive, except for when my drivers get caught up in it. Then, of course, whoever causes the wreck your driver gets caught up in, you're just like, oh, that guy sucks. But like I said, I'm over it the next day. I don't hold it anymore because I don't hold that anger and stuff like that anymore. I just, like I said, I just don't pull. I don't have that same. Kyle Larson is my guy, and I pull for RCR and Petty GMS, Legacy Racing, but Legacy Motor Club. But I pull for Kyle Busch, but he's part of RCR. Anybody with the first name Kyle. Kyle Weatherman. So, but I just I don't pull for anybody like I pull for Earnhardt and Kevin Harvick and Richard Petty. Like it's just I don't have that same level of insanity that I had when I was pulling for them. What if Dodge actually didn't step away from NASCAR and came back in 2013? Man, golly, I wish they had. They had a nice looking car to do it with. It never got used. That's unfortunate. Aaron Flynn said, I watched another YouTube video last night and saw that Cecil Gordon lived in my hometown when he ran the Daytona 500 back in the 70s. I've been doing a lot of reading to find out where. So there you go. That's pretty cool. Or Cecil Gordon, I should say. Aaron Flynn there. That's pretty cool. It's always cool to find out certain guys were from your hometown and stuff like that, or state and stuff like that. Brandon Jones, Xfinity points champion. There you go. Old home guy picking Brandon Jones to win the championship. Mike Crater says, I think NASCAR. So there you go. NASCAR is going to cause the first big controversy of the 2023 season. Molten Ray says, I still can't believe Mike Joy literally said when David Reagan missed one of the big crashes, he is blessed. Not kidding. Mike Joy literally said that about David Reagan. Mark Wachowski says Cecil Gordon ran 24 like another Gordon. Oh, yeah, no doubt. Let's see. David McSwain said Clash should be only for pole winners. I agree with you 100%, David. And it makes polls more important the way it's meant to. 100%. That's another thing. Like qualifying doesn't even matter anymore. Now it doesn't matter who wins polls. It's just extra money. Back in the day, you used to be seeing if your guy won a race for a pole or won the pole so he could get into the Clash or whatever. Now, that's another thing they've taken away from the fans. The importance of qualifying on the pole because you don't even get points for it. So It's sort of one of those deals. David Reagan is the most underrated talent that we still have in NASCAR, and is easily the best Rick Ware racing driver, and it's not even a competition. I'm hoping he returns this year in the 15 for Daytona. He might. He's usually in there. Let's see. T-Van says the All-Star race should be in the middle of the season, and we have the top 10 of each series that race in it. It would give drivers more of a reason for staying in the top 10. That would be interesting. I agree with. I would like to see some points mixed into it as far as how they do it. But I do still like the All-Star race being the most current winners. But they've also taken liberty with that too. So I do understand where you're coming from, T-Van. But yeah, there's all kinds of things they could do to spice up the All-Star race. So that's not the worst thing to take a look at. Donnie Love says new Petty GMS name sounds like an auto dealership or a motorcycle club. That's what I keep thinking. I'm like, it sounds like a motorcycle club because you got the MC on the back of it. Yeah, I don't know. See Kyle Not Cal, I think the Clash should be its own thing and bring the shootout back to Daytona for the pole winners. That would be another way around it. So you could have the Clash, and you're right, it could be its own thing, and the shootout could be the other exhibition race to have. So that would be a cool way of going about it. Good thought process there. Good process, Kyle. I'll just say your name properly. NASCAR Collector 23. What if NASCAR ever had the playoffs and had the original format? I think it would make the racing more interesting. Yeah, so like the 04 format or whatever. I think it was 04 or whenever they had the first one. Yeah, that would be a good format to go back to and sort of tweak that in some way, shape, or form. But that format made a lot more sense than this current format, in my opinion. If you're going to have a playoff, I like season-long points. And until my dying day, I will always think season-long points are the best way to go about it. But it's not coming back, so stop crying about it. I'll rally for it every year to get it out of my system, but it's not coming back, unfortunately. Old Home Guy says, are all the charters entered for Daytona? Yeah, they're all the chartered cars are going. So all 36. So 36 are locked up, and they'll be fighting for those other, let's see, 6 or what was it, 36? So they'll be fighting for 5 or 6 spots. For those other cars will be fighting for 5 or 6 spots. The non-chartered teams. David Reagan. NASCAR Collector agrees with say Kyle Not Cal. David Reagan. Plate track talent is just as good as Denny Hamlin. There, I said it. Honestly, people need to look at his stats and realize he's just like Denny Hamlin on plate tracks. He knows the stuff. Yeah, he's the man. Him and Ryan Blaney are the two best right now as far as plate tracks go, in my opinion. And then you got Ricky Stenhouse, Eric Jones, Bubba Wallace. They're sort of the tier 2 at plate tracks. Greg Brown says it used to be the Busch Pole Award, hence the Busch Clash. Then the Bud Shootout. What will it be called? So that's a good question. Donnie Love says MC Motor Cars. So yeah, it definitely sounds like a motorcycle club. Like everybody's like, it sounds like an auto ship dealership. To me, it looks more like a motorcycle club when I look at it, just because of that MC at the end. Old Home Guy says Clash and All-Star races should be heat races. I agree with you. They definitely, the Clash is a heat race, but you're right. The All-Star race should have heat races too. You've got one heat race for the open entries, but you should have a heat race for the guys that are in it as well, in my opinion. Say Kyle Not Cal. Moody was saying on Sirius today the field is 38, so it's only 2 spots. Oh God, they cut it to 38. Jeez, that sucks, man. What is NASCAR doing? Like, what are they literally doing? So it's only 2 spots for open cars. Nope, NASCAR changes it to 43 or at least 40. They should at least change it to 40 because you're gonna, like, the Daytona 500 is the biggest event of the year. They got plenty of room on pit road, so they should have 42 cars at the Daytona 500. That way, every year we can get that number back up to like 50 people that are trying to enter the Daytona 500. It creates more buzz and it's more fun for the fans. David Reagan is just that driver. I like to put him in a car, in a plate truck, like any equipment. He will know how to qualify in it and give a great finish. Like, it's not even supposed to. Yeah, he's one of the better plate racers of all time. There's no doubt about it. NASCAR Collector. Why did NASCAR change the name? Banners on the cars racing. I liked how they looked last year's name with the name in the middle and the manufacturers on the sides. I think they did it because they're trying to squeeze They're trying to squeeze that 75th anniversary logo on a few of them, would be my guess. So look for that. That's probably why they modified them. Say Kyle Metcalf says the speed limit should be the number of pit stalls. So stupid. Yeah, I agree. I think you meant the car limit. I agree with you 100% on that. Should go back to 43. Yeah, but it was only 43 when they had a championship provisional. I think some years it was 42. I think the 43 was only with a champions provisional, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be mistaken. It happens sometimes, quite often in real life. Aaron Flynn says the 8 first, 42 second for the 500. Also, there you go. There you go. Kyle Busch getting pushed by Noah Gragson, the Las Vegas connection. That would be pretty cool. Duke Chronic says NASCAR's boss is a businessman, not a race guy. The three Francis were on the same page. Well said, Duke. I can't add anything to that. 32 NFL teams, 36 charters. Sounds familiar NFL wise. I agree. Reagan makes more money coaching than driving. There you go. That's Haley Deegan's coach, I think. David Reagan, I'll say take Spire or heck, take a money car, and most likely a top 10. Keep the car clean, like no damage, anything, because that's what David Reagan is. He is that guy. Yep. NASCAR has not made money as NASCAR has not made money as far as team owners go since somebody's DUI. So there you go. And Cassandra Keller says the first mess up NASCAR already started. The first 2023 mistake. So there you go. So Cassandra Keller saying NASCAR will cause the first mistake. All right. That is all I got for you on this one. All right. 2 hours on the dot. Boom. Nailed it. And one wise guy says, thanks for hanging out. All right. I appreciate it. I'll catch y'all on the next one. And this was fun. Peace.